Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I will be reading from a transcript, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm talking of the practitioner who will be asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm talking to myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from a 25th dimension. Before I start reading, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. I really, truly appreciate that. And also that this particular section of the session is about dreams. Now, dreams have always been special in my life. I am very adept at remembering them. I am aware of astral traveling. I've been doing that for 16, 17 years since I was a child, before I shut them down because I wanted to sleep like other people. But now in the last several years, they've come back, meaning that I have realized that I was still astral traveling. We all do. We astral travel every night. It's just that many of us do not want to know what happens when we astral travel, because that's basically when we are aware of what our higher self is doing. And so I actually use these almost like these hypnosis sessions to get downloads. So I ask questions and then I get the answers, and I usually know exactly what they're trying to say to me. And the reason I did this entire today's video focus on dreams is because I've been having one or two dreams every single night. Maybe you have skipped one night since the beginning of July that have dealt with the same topics over and over. And really, at the end of the day, it's about the takedown. So I want to share this because they not only have universal value in that sense, because I want you to know what is going on, but also because they teach us something about just how dreams work. And so I find this, at least for myself, very interesting. And so, of course, I want to share with you. So I hope you enjoy this. All right. So, Lorrayne, Claire would like to know why she's dreaming about her ex-husband. So just so we're clear, the premise to this is that I don't think about my ex-husband. So when I had several dreams with my ex-husband in them, I'm like, okay, what is this really meaning? And that's why I'm sharing with you, because my ex-husband is not even relevant to this particular dream. So let me tell you what the 25th said. Me. So Claire is doing a review. She's doing a review of a lot of things that she has experienced on this planet, especially in this past life, in this current life, but really in general. And her ex-husband, his family, Asians in general, who have been such a big part of Claire's life, are like a representation of what she's learned, of what she's experienced. And very much they are a representation of the very 3D level of things, very materialistic, we don't mean any of this judgmentally. We mean it as in what this planet has represented for many, not just for Claire, in terms of very much humdrum almost. Like that's what we deal with here. And of course, these people have all played a role as well, just like Claire. So it's not like they're less in any way. And that's why this is coming up, because she's wrapping up. And this represents, okay, this is what we're putting away. In fact, Claire has had a dream that she did not write in her questions, where she actually saw what's coming next. And it was with a person completely different, that felt different, which doesn't have to be a person necessarily. He was a representation of everybody around her. And this was a comparison between old Earth and new Earth, is really what we're showing her, which is things are going to feel very, very different on new Earth. And not that this was bad, what happened here. Claire has many, well, her daughter is half Asian, and Claire has many beloved Asian friends. Claire loves all of her friends. It doesn't matter where they're from, Asia, Italy, US, wherever they're from. It's not about that. Again, it was just a visual representation of the fact, of the feelings that she has dealt with, or that all of us have dealt with, the kind of reality that we have dealt with on this planet, as opposed to what we're going to have from now on. And it was wonderful. The new reality is incredibly wonderful. And I have to tell you, and this is why I'm sharing this as well, I feel it. I feel like when I travel, when I'm at night especially, but I wake up with this and I have these feelings, I carry them during the day. It's like it's real to me. And I think it's becoming more real because we are getting closer. And a lot of us, and I hope you can relate to this, if not, it will come, it's coming. A lot of us, our attention, our higher self has already switched some of its attention away from this reality. So that's why this reality has become more fluid. And this is why many of us are now experiencing things that are a precursor to what we're going to be experiencing on your earth. Of course, that's going to be like a billion times better. But these are things that we hadn't necessarily experienced here before. So again, even in this dream, or when I dreamt, I think this has happened a couple of times, of my ex-husband, it wasn't about him specifically. It wasn't even any event that was based on this person. I just knew in the dream that was my ex-husband. And so I would see Asians, because again, Asians are such a big part of my life. I have so many Asian friends that I adore. And Asians basically represent what I've done already. And so that's why they're showing me. So this is visual because, of course, when you see people looking different, it's very obvious that it's different in that sense. And so again, the new looked different. And so it was very interesting. I was not expecting this. I actually didn't know. So I'm glad I asked. And hopefully this, again, has value. Lorraine, thank you. Claire would also like to know why she's dreaming about weddings. So many weddings, guys. Me. Yeah, so weddings are events. So she's really just dreaming of the event. That's what she's dreaming of. And she's super excited. She gets invited every single time, even though it might be some random wedding that she has no business being in. She gets invited. It's a big deal. And yeah, so she's going to be part of it, of course, because we're going to be here until the end. We're part of it. It's the takedown is what it's referring to. So weddings are coming up, guys. All right, Lorraine, thank you. Great. Okay. Starting on 7/27, so that's July 27th, for many days in a row, Clea has had people reach out to her that she knew a long time ago, who she hasn't even talked to for years. Why are these people reaching out? Are they surrounded by NPCs so they know who to go to, who has an essence left in them? What are they looking for? Me. Yeah, so actually it's interesting. She thought it was one or the other, like probably people with essences. Some have it and some don't. So the ones that have the essences, yes, they're reaching out because they know, they remember that she was a light in their lives and that she had a sort of mission or influence in their lives. And so they're reaching out for that reason. Yes, because they do feel, even though they can't voice it, they do feel like they're alone. They don't have a lot of people around and they're feeling all these changes. That's why they're reaching out to Clea to get stability, even though they might be talking about something completely unrelated to what we're discussing. But she's also had people whose essence is gone reach out to her. And the reason is because it's the NPC that is trying to hold on to something. Because a lot of NPCs, we've said this, they're breaking down. And so NPCs are trying to find something. So one way or the other, it's like this person, she's trying to find an anchor. And of course, she knows Clea is an anchor. Clea's essence is still here. She's a light worker. And these people know. We all feel each other. We all know who's left here. And so they'll also reach out. They're trying to combat that losing stability because the NPCs also remember things. They remember how you made them feel, how they felt, or whatever it was. So yeah, both actually. Interestingly, Clea thought it was only people with essences reaching out to her. So I am assuming because I know if you're watching this, you clearly have now gone to a 3D chamber or are probably not going with the aliens at this point. Only 4% of the group going with the aliens is left behind. And so I always assume basically everybody on this channel is going to New Earth or will go to New Earth at some point. And so I'm assuming this stuff is happening for you. I'm expecting that you're probably having some people out of nowhere reach out to you that you might not be that close to, or you might have not heard from them in a million years. I've had people reach out to me, and this happened every day in a row. So this was odd. The first time I was like, okay, it happens. Sometimes you hear somebody that you haven't heard to from in a long time. But I had people reach out to me that I knew like 25 years ago that I have never spoken with. I had to look them up. I didn't even quite remember who they were to change their name. So if you're having this happen, please let me know below. This is very interesting, I think. Okay, so here we get into the dreams. So again, on the surface, they might look like they're about me, but there's really nothing about me in these dreams. I know they're all about, what's happening right now, because those are the questions that I ask before I go to bed. I ask to know what's going on. Lorraine, thank you. Okay, we're moving into 2 dreams that Clea had. I will read them in the first person. Okay, on July 17th, I dreamed that because I was connected to the 25th, there was a dark cult that wanted access to my powers. I was in a building and this dark priest wanted to take my powers away from me by doing a ritual. There were lots of people around, so it would have been impossible to escape. But I had powers he didn't know about, like the ability to walk through walls. And so I walked through the glass floor to ceiling windows and left. Later, I found myself in a subterranean building where this mafia guy wanted my powers too, but more physically. So he had a big bad guy ready to extract them with a knife from my head. This was actually scarier because it was physical. The guy was huge and used to violence, and I had no idea how I would make it out of there. I also had my daughter with me. So I told her to go ahead and go down some stairs, which accessed the subway. And when the guy tried to take me out with a knife by stabbing me in the belly, I felt the knife on my skin, but I easily stopped his hand with my hand, despite his physical strength, and moved the knife away from me. Then I ran down the stairs to find my daughter. What does this dream mean? I know you've been protecting me from attacks, but does this mean that there are people both in 3D and higher dimensions who would do this if you were not protecting me? Me. So this dream obviously is metaphorical in the sense that there are no people that with a knife would try to take out Clea's brain to remove this gift. And they were laughing. And I think I fear that much. All right, but yes, absolutely, there are. We've already said this is dangerous, quote unquote dangerous, in the sense that there are many, the vast majority of essences in the multiverse do not want this information spread. And too bad, because now it's out there. And as a friend of Clea says, you can't take it back, it's out there. They were laughing. But this is what it is. So Clea is aware, at a higher self level, is very much aware of this. So that's why it's showing up. But what Clea is also learning is that she's going through this transformation, this transition, and we all are, where we are consciously, because she remembers this dream, so it becomes part of her conscious knowledge, where we are consciously becoming Neo from the Matrix. We are consciously realizing, doesn't matter what the reality is like, it's what I'm capable of doing that matters. So she was able to walk through closed glass windows and fly off or go to a different place. She was able to stop a huge burly man, even though she's a little girl, and things that you would never think in 3D reality you'd be able to do these things, but she's capable of doing things. What we were teaching her, reminding her, is that she can do anything. She's an infinitely powerful being. So the switch from the 3D reality to the higher dimensional reality, the higher dimensional consciousness, really. And again, we're all going through this. Clea is open to her dreams, showing her these things. So this is a very quick process. It gets incorporated very easily and very quickly. And this is what the dream wanted to signify. Yes, of course there are. We've said this before. There are people that don't want this information spread, and therefore they would love to stop it. They're just afraid that if this information is known, it's going to ruin the matrix for everybody. Now, that's not true, though, because we ourselves want the matrix to survive. Clea herself wants the matrix to survive because in 10,000 years, when she decides to move on, maybe she does want to have amnesia again. It's the fun of it. You do different things. But these people don't know. They just don't want it. Now, this is at a 3D level or at a matrix level, because in reality, all the essences throughout the multiverse, everybody knows this information is being spread, and everybody wants it to be spread. We all decided this was going to be spread, but at a conscious level, of course, you're going to have, just like when you introduce any idea, you're going to have pushback. And so she's becoming aware in her dreams of this pushback. She's very aware that somehow on our channel, there are no trolls. It is a very strange thing, we assure you. She's kind of like, is this normal? Maybe my channel is so small, but it doesn't work that way. I mean, she could have already been the target of some serious trolling, and instead it's been all smooth sailing pretty much. Then yes, there is the part of you that is Neo, and you can do anything, even in this reality. Something happened this morning. She was thinking of someone who needed help, and she was once again hoping, oh, I hope that he gets to New Earth or he gets to move on before physically this issue becomes a problem. And then she smacked herself on the forehead and she goes, oh, I can fix that right now if the essence agrees with me and agrees to have this fixed. This is what we're working on. where it becomes second nature. We're rewiring our expectation, our brains, if you wish. But really, it's our expectations of how our reality works to know that we can do anything in an instant. And I want to stop here before I move into the second dream. This was one of the main parts that I wanted to highlight, this image of we are becoming Neo. We are going, this is this overtime after the takedown and before we move to New Earth, which again is going to be a few months. It's not going to be years or anything, according to the 25th. This overtime is the time we are using. Basically, instead of going from, if you want to say black and white, instead of going from white to black or black to white, however you want to say these two completely different realities, we're using this overtime to start our transition. And we are becoming Neo. Reality is becoming more fluid, and we are becoming aware of the fact we control things. For me, for example, it was a big deal when I realized, I'm like, oh my God, I can do this. I can intend this. Why am I hoping for something external to happen? It's a second nature to us here to say, oh, I hope this goes well. Oh, I hope that person is okay. You don't have to hope. We can intend. And the essence, if an essence is in trouble, if a person is in trouble, the essence will never be in trouble. If a person is in what we consider to be trouble at a 3D level, say the person has an accident happen, or they have a disease, or something is happening with them, something that is not great, okay? The person would not enjoy, we would not enjoy if it was happening to us. The essence clearly was open to that. And so there might be something the essence wants to learn, but sometimes the essence is done with something, and it's only picked it up to try it because somebody might have sent that energy to them, and the essence said, oh, I'm going to try this and see what happens. So the moment that we send our energy, we can also affect things. You know, a lot of people talk about these negative attacks. We can do a positive attack, okay? The essence has to be open to it, like with everything. The essence is always sovereign and in charge. But if they are open, like for example, it happened with my mom's dog that has a tumor. I basically realized during one of these dreams, I'm like, that's no problem. I'm going to send a master like the rest of us, including the dog. And if the dog is open, I will heal this dog. And the dog was open and the dog is healed. And so this is what I remember the other day. Now it's becoming second nature for me. This is training. It's basically we're training our thoughts. We are retraining our thoughts to not go too outside hope and reality and things, say, oh, hope these things happen. And instead to be like, I'm going to change this reality as long as the essence of the person you're trying to help agrees, obviously. All right. So second dream. I felt the time had come, the time we had been told about. I didn't know the exact date when it would happen, but the wait was over. It was coming. I got into position. I was a golden dragon, no wings, just a body. There were 12 of us dragons, and the other 11 started joining me from everywhere. We all gathered in the same place. Some of them knew the time was close too. Others just joined, feeling that something was happening because we were gathering. We were all different metallic colors, so there were silver, platinum, etc. There was to be a final attack. We were facing a huge menace from an alien force. In the next scene, I was alone in the north of Italy, in the town where I grew up. I was by a huge tree, and I was looking up at the sky. I was aware of being alone. The other 11 had left where we had been led to believe the attack was going to happen. But I looked at the sky and realized that we had been played. The attack would happen in the place I was. The ultimate goal of the aliens was to suck all the water out of this huge lake in the north of Italy, which would spell disaster for the planet. I was not concerned about being alone. I knew I could handle it, but I had a little time yet before the attack. So I went inside a house, and there was a man there, someone I knew. He was Asian. He was interested in me romantically. It was not one of the 12, but he wanted to help. So I told him what was happening. While we waited, I was informed that my former parents-in-law wanted to speak with me. Aliens were coming to pick them up, and they wanted to see me before leaving. I didn't see the point, since I figured they wanted to have some closure before leaving, which will make no difference at all. So I refused to meet them, even though they tried a couple of times to convince me to see them. Then the alien attack happened. It showed up like a huge dark gray cloud covering the sky for miles. I focused on it to dissolve it, and the Asian man also helped me, which made it easier, so I was grateful he was there. Then, as the attack was resolved, I looked outside the window to the street. I saw my ex-in-laws in a black car being escorted away by 2 black cars, one in front and one behind. I decided I would meet them since it was the end anyway, so I changed clothes. For some reason, I changed in front of this man, but then I worried he would think I was interested in him since I was so comfortable with him around, so I asked him to go outside. Then I went out as well and joined him and 2 other people, a man and a woman, who were sitting around the table at a coffee shop. The other man was also interested in me, and he was more interesting than the guy who had helped me, but the guy who had helped me wanted to make it look like there was an understanding between me and him, so the other guy would stand back. So it was referring to an outfit that he was wearing, saying that it was the proposal outfit. And while this was a brand name, he made it sound like it was what he was wearing when he had proposed to me. I was too disinterested in all of it to even clear up the misunderstanding. So I just got up and went to meet my ex-in-laws, but I cut the meeting short and simply told them that what was done was done. It didn't matter where we were now. There was no point in saying anything. So they left and the dream ended. What does this dream mean? Is I take down clothes, have my ex-in-laws left with the aliens. This is because I thought this had to do with my ex-in-laws, which it didn't. Again, hang in there, you'll know none of this actually is personal to me, but dreams use things that you know that you can relate to explain things, right? So I was asking, who are these 2 men? Why is there always one or more Asian men in my dreams? And always this dynamic with a man who's interested in me, but I'm not interested in him. All right, so here's the answer. So again, we'll just answer the last question first. We just spoke about this. Asian men always represent basically what Clea has lived through in this life. So who she's been attracted to, in this case, her ex-husband, who she's lived with for a long time. It's always the past. And not the past as in the past doesn't exist, but like the alternative, what we tried and that it wasn't the ideal. And by ideal, we don't mean to minimize what has transpired, but to say that it's not what we're looking forward to on new earth. And so it's almost like the 3D. It almost represents a 3D and all these games. So there's always this dynamic, and Clea's just done with this, as many of us are. This dream wasn't just about Clea. It was about the fact that we're all moving on. So in the dream, she wasn't even interested in clarifying the fact that she was not engaged to this man or anything. It didn't even matter. There's this detachment from 3D. Nothing matters anymore. And so there's that piece. And she was grateful to this man for helping her and for being there, for wanting to be of help. But again, she could have done whatever she did by herself. And again, she was done. This was an, it's okay, you can be around, but you're not going to stop me. That was the idea. The other piece to this is the parents, the ex-in-laws. Yes, they're gone. But the point of this was that she did have the conversation with them because they know this dream, when these things happen, is just like when we talk about these things. Everybody's aware of them. There is no privacy in the sense, not even your dreams are private. And so basically, they know that was the point. They were trying to reach her. They've been thinking about her. Of course, they've been carrying this. The reason they carry this is because they know they didn't do the right thing by her. And they want to believe that there are people who do the right thing. And so they've been dealing with this conflict for several years now. And so, of course, knowing that they were going to be gone, they wanted to reach out. And Clea does not want to support any of this energy. So no resentment, but also no support for it in any way. And so in the dream, she was basically giving them closure to say, it doesn't really matter. And they know this, they've heard it. It doesn't really matter. It's what it is. I mean, let's move on. Basically, we all do what we think we have to do. There's nothing really to say that's going to make any difference. And they heard this. They received the message. They're aware of it. And again, it's not a matter of forgiving because we don't have to forgive. Nobody's done anything that needs forgiveness. But now, let's talk about the main plot here. The main dream idea is that yes, we are ready. We're ready to go. And we know the time is here. So that's why the 12 were joining together again. We said that idea, and all the light workers will join from different parts of the world, and that's when we leave together. Now, this also was representing the takedown, as in we're being attacked by this force. But really, it wasn't about that as much as, again, it's the training to become Neo. The fact that you don't need a collective. You don't even need your other 11. You, because we are one, there's only one. There's only me, there's only you, there's only one. So when this force came, which was huge, it was this huge cloud covering the entire city and more, Clea had no doubt. All Clea said is, I can dissolve this. And it was a thought, an intent thought, no. And the thought is always no, which is the thought that all of us light workers now, all of us on the team of the light that are left behind, we talked about this in our last session. What we have said very simply to this entire agenda and all the other 10 agendas that they were going to spring on us, what we have said is no. That's all. No more energy towards it. Just no. We're done. Boring. Moving on. It's over. It's what it is. Moving on. And that's exactly what this dream was signifying. It was that simple. We said no. Gone. This is how fluid our reality is. Again, the reason this 3D system is still in place is not because the dark is sustaining it. It's because we are now wanting the 3D to crumble. It would be horrible if you left your house and every house around it was gone, for example. It would be horrible. Doesn't matter what you know, what you think you can handle. It would be a horrible experience for you. You want everything to be just. You want this holographic reality to stand until the last minute, until you do have the consciousness of New Earth, where you know exactly what's going on. You're not going to be afraid. But right now, we are human. We're just human. This is how we look at things, no matter our consciousness level. And we do not want to see anything different. I do want my trash picked up. It's not because I'm a princess. I just want my trash picked up. Otherwise, oh my God, I'm going to feel like I'm in a post-apocalyptic movie. What am I going to do with the trash? It's going to start piling up in the streets. We do want normality around us. We are dealing with so much already at an energetic level, and we just want this to last till the end. Now, at the same time, behind the scenes, and we know this, even consciously, we know something is off. You might not tell yourself why, even if we didn't have this information. Everybody knows something is different. And again, people are grasping left and right, trying to find an excuse that fits the narrative for why things feel different, because we know exactly what's going on. And so the key is here that we're already transitioning to our conscious New Earth selves. And so we are, as much as possible, without it being visible, too obvious in visible ways, in 3D ways, we are changing reality. So we're going to continue fluidly changing things as much as is acceptable for us to do before we leave. And really, the most it has to do with is what we know that we are. It's about us knowing, truly knowing who we are. And this is what Clea is getting. She's getting this training. Every night, almost every night, she has dreams like this. Different environments, different contests. They look different, but they always come down, boil down to the same thing. Take down and learning to detach, and the fact that she's in charge of what's happening, because we all are. On New Earth, we have no limitations. So yeah, this is what we wanted to remind her. But yes, the answer to the first question, which is this takedown happening? Yes, it is happening. It was always happening. We never said it's not going to happen anymore. And yes, we are ready. We are just waiting. In this case, it was this cloud, this alien attack from this dark force. In 3D, we're waiting for the recall, which is basically the equivalent of the dark force as attacked. And we're like, no. And that's where the recall happens. And after that, shortly after that, just like in the dream, we're done. It's over. So I have to say, I do love these dreams, and I love the 25th explains so much to us. It blew me away when he said our dreams are not private. So if you think that you're connecting with somebody in the dream, you're actually connecting with that person in the dream. So, but anyway, there's so much here. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.